Hello everybody and welcome back. So we're going to basically extend our WebSocket project. Right now it's just communication in one direction. And what we'd really like to do is potentially have a workspace view, and that workspace view is responsible for building some sort of like display view and some sort of like updater view, and those views will have a label that displays messages, the most recent message from the WebSocket, and maybe a button to like send a message. So yeah, instead of just having stuff coming in from the WebSocket and updating the display, we want to now send stuff to the WebSocket. So we're gonna basically do some refactoring in our chat application. Yeah, so the main file just calls to run app, and then run app over here. It will get the bounds, it creates the options, and then we open our window with those options. And here's where we're gonna start separating some stuff out. And so I think it makes sense to have like a workspace, and that seems to be a good convention to follow. And so we'll just break stuff apart, and yeah, let's get into it. So we'll do a workspace, and then we will do an implementation, and let's do a render, and we will kind of follow suit here with what we have. So I'm just gonna grab this. Okay, and then basically inside of this render, yeah, so we can basically just leverage this, but not have all the text and children stuff. So maybe just, let's see, flex. I think here we can use, yeah, size full. Let's put this above and move this. So justify center, item center, that's okay for now. Yeah, we can basically just remove all of this stuff out, and then we will create an implementation for the workspace where we can have like a build function. Right, so some sort of build. Okay, and then yeah, I think inside of here we'll have the update view and the display view. So maybe just like a message view and update view. Right, and so this will be a new model. And then some sort of updated for you. Right, and over here we could just say, we could just add the children here. Yeah, so size full, flex, let's do a flex column so that they're ordered, they're stacked on top of each other. And then over here, this is not going to be a model, it's going to be a workspace view. And yeah, looks like Copilot mostly got this right. So we're just going to create a new view with the context, message view and update view inside of our workspace, and we're going to pass this back. And I think it makes sense to do self here. Right, and so now let's see, this app context, I believe we want it to be a window context. Yep. So we'll make this a window context. So this is happy. Now we obviously have to go build out these two subviews, right? And so let's go ahead and just like do a very simple implementation for that. Right, and so here the message view is just going to have a shared string that we'll end up rendering. And then we'll have a message view .build, since we end up calling a message view build. And we're also going to have, do we want to do shared string? I don't even know if that makes sense to do. Yeah, so message view build. Yeah, so there's, I don't know if there's a shared string new. I think we can just do something like this. Right, and so this is going to be a view of self, and then we need the render. So let's go ahead and create that. Okay, and here we don't need any of this. We're probably just going to grab the flex, and then we'll have like some sort of color. I think that makes sense. And then I think the one thing we want to do here is borrow this. Okay, so we have a message, and then this needs some parentheses. Cool. Now for the update view, pretty much same thing. Yeah, except we're probably not gonna need this, but yeah, let's just keep going. Okay, so very similar thing. Yeah, flex, this makes sense, but then here we're gonna want to basically add a button, and so let's see if we could just do something. Is there a way to do on mouse down, and then some sort of mouse button left, and then up for the listener, I believe there's a couple. So I'm just doing A, comma B because I'm just like unfamiliar with the type. So here's the mouse down event, and then I think this is just the context that we get passed, and so this is a window context that we get back here. Yeah, so let's just print something out. Maybe like button clicked. And then we will underscore these. Cool. And then I think what we could do inside of here is some sort of like indication that it's a button to click on. So maybe a format. And I think we can also do cursor. Maybe we want to do it over here. Cursor style, maybe the pointing hand. Okay, so that seems okay for now. Now let's create the actual implementation with the build method. Cool. Yeah, so let's just get rid of this. And then over here, we're just gonna do okay, and then basically over here what we could do is we can do like let workspace, build that workspace, and then we're just gonna return this at the end, and we're gonna comment out the chat stuff for now. Type the full name. Okay, cool. Yeah, so now we have these two basic things. Okay, before we start this up, maybe just some quick fixes over here. So I don't think we need this. And then I think we can add some padding in here as well. Let's add some to the Y, some more padding to the X, and yeah, change the cursor, right. And then I don't think we actually want to do this. I think we can just do something like that. Yeah, so flex, extra large text, text color. We actually don't really care about this. And then the background can be a little bit different because it's going to be a button, so maybe we can make it a bit darker. Okay, so let's start this thing. Yeah, a whole bunch of warnings because nothing's used. Okay, so the background, I think the background is the same, so we're going to want to update that really quick. And one more thing really quick on the bounds. Let's just grab the first display. Okay, so here we have the window. Yeah, so just a little button. It kind of looks like a button. And when we click it, we can see output being logged, button clicked. So cool, we have a little button. Okay. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to want to start breaking apart all the stuff we have in the chat model and view. So I think what we have right now is the chat has a view and a model. And really what we want to be able to do is like put that in some like global state, right? And so what I'm going to do is just take this options function, and I'm going to move this up to the top over here. And I'm just going to have it not be tied to chat for right now. And so we're just going to move this around. Okay, and so one of the annoying things is it's kind of like coupled in here. And so I think let's just go ahead and create some sort of like, yeah, let's go ahead and create some sort of state model. And then what we'll also do in that state model is have two subscriptions, and one subscription is going to listen for like an incoming message, and the other one's going to listen for an outgoing message. And then those are going to delegate to basically the WebSocket client underneath. If hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so we can basically just change this to be incoming message and then an outgoing message. And then this can basically become state. And the state's just going to have the shared string over here. And so now we're going to need a couple of different event emitters. So we'll have an incoming message and an outgoing message. And instead of for the chat, we're going to actually have some sort of like state model. And we'll basically add the state model into the global context. Okay, and so this is pretty much what we want, except for WebSocket here. This is going to be our tungstenite model, right? So let's hold off on that for now. Right, and this gets to be changed to state. Cool. And then our state model is also, it's important to derive a clone on this, since we will need to support that. And so that leads us to an interesting strategy for the actual underlying WebSocket connection. And so, you know, the WebSocket itself is not clonable unless we go into the tungstenite library and modify all the stuff all the way down, which is not ideal. And so what we can maybe do is wrap it in like some sort of arc mutex. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so let's go ahead and like break down this chat. So this is basically going to become our state model, and let's see, there's quite a few things. So let's create like a init function. Okay, and so we definitely want to take immutable window context. Yeah, we can create the new model over here. We don't need to worry about returning anything just yet. Okay, and so one thing we can do, yeah, so we have this new model for that, so we can get rid of this. And then we're just going to bring this subscription out, and we can pretty much get rid of this, right? And so we can end up subscribing onto this model. And then we're going to detach here. Oops, there we go. Okay, and so this is not going to be a state. This is going to be like an outgoing message, and we're going to have another one of these for the incoming message. And we're just going to comment this out. Okay, and here we're just going to print something out. Yeah, that works. Same thing over here, just print something out. Okay, and so ideally what we want is when we have an incoming message, like incoming from the WebSocket connection to our app, incoming to us, what we're going to basically do is we're going to update the model and do a notify. And then in the outgoing message, we're going to send a message on the WebSocket. And so we can actually basically bring this inside. So I'm just going to copy that. And then I'm just going to grab this and hard code it for now. Okay, so here we have the socket, and we see it's a web socket of a maybe TLS stream of type TCP stream. And so this is probably what we're going to end up wrapping in the arc mutex. So I can just say okay, so we don't want this. Okay, cool. Let's import these. Okay, so we see our type here is arc mutex, WebSocket, maybe TLS stream, TCP stream. And this is what we're going to have here. Yeah, so this would be WebSocket of maybe TLS stream, TCP stream. It's a standard net TCP stream over here. One more thing we need to have is to implement the global for the state model. Okay, and then here we can basically, we can end up doing cx.set global, I believe, yeah. And then we can basically do this. And we don't have a this yet. Right. And so now we could potentially return that if we want to, but I think it's okay to just add it into the global. And then I'm also going to just type this. All right. Yeah, so we've done a connect. We're not using this yet. But once we reference this, we're probably going to have to clone it. And so we'll get to the cloning in a little bit. Great. And then I think we don't need a render for this. We don't need a render for this. But what we're going to do is we're basically going to grab this logic here, and we're going to have this, instead of referencing stuff inside of our WebSocket, it's going to grab stuff from the global, right? And so because we've done like workspace build, this is going down the chain, and it's building out all our views, but we need to actually build that state model, right? So right inside here, we can just do a state model init, and we're not returning anything yet. So, and then this is going to add, it's going to add it to the global right here. Okay, so one of these issues, sorry, it's just not mutable. It's just a borrowed message. So yeah, I think this is just going to be the model. This is the context, and I think we're not using this right now. I'm going to change this back to event. Okay, so our subscribers are happy right now. I think one thing we can potentially do is, I've seen it as an example in quite a few other repos, is a helper function. And so we can do something here like update. That's going to take, a self and then some app context. So it's actually a complicated function signature. So I'm just going to straight up copy this from Matthias's code. Again, thank you, Matthias. So he basically has this like super nice helper. And so it takes a function that takes self and the context, and just allows you to call update global. And so this is nice because like from a window context, like our button, we can just call the state model.update and pass our own function back, and it all works out. So this is just a super nice utility helper. And so with that utility helper, if we uncomment this, we see we have the window context here, right? And so what we can just do is the state model.update. Yeah, so Copilot's a little bit incorrect. We want to do the update model. And from here we can grab the reference, and we can call our update function here. Right, and here's going to be the update. So that's why it's nice to have that utility function, because we can basically pass in this update model. And so that's cool. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully we can run this and see if we can see some messages. Okay, so we're getting some compile errors, which makes sense. So I'm just going to comment that out. Comment this out. Oh, right. And then it's, we have a little bit of a race condition, so we actually need to run the WebSocket server first, because now we're trying to connect to it. So I'm just going to run that WebSocket server and then run chat again. Okay, so we have the window, and we see outgoing message hello from the other side. And so we know now that our button is hooked up to that state model, and we can see that subscription coming in. So that's pretty exciting. And so here for the outgoing message, here's where we'll just straight send that to the WebSocket. In order to send that to the WebSocket, we'll just create a client clone. And inside of here, we're just going to call that message. So I think we got it lock, unwrap, send, and then, yeah, we could just send a tungsten message of text. And we can grab the event. And then I think, what else do we need to do? I think we need an unwrap again. Okay, and it's not happy. Yeah, so since we've created the clone and stuff, I think we can just call move. And this makes everything happier. And so now, when we click the button, we should get something being sent to the WebSocket. So we sent the message, and then let's open up that warp chat that we had. So we can do that. And look, we can send messages from our client to the WebSocket. That's pretty awesome. So one thing that's kind of annoying about this WebSocket server is that it's super bright. So I'm just going to go in here and add some styling. I'm just going to make the body the same as the body color the same as our app. And the text is going to just be white for now. Okay. So let me restart that WebSocket server. Refresh this. Okay, so we have dark mode. That's how easy it is. Okay, so that's pretty great, but we're not listening for anything on the WebSocket side. We have this all commented out. So we can basically just grab this and bring it over. And we could separate stuff out again at some point. But for now, we can just bring this in. Okay, and so the only thing is, instead of like grabbing references and creating this, we could basically just get it from our global context. And I think we could just do okay. And so now we're going to need to grab our connections. So we can grab that reference to that model, and then we can also grab the reference to our socket. Okay, and so here, instead of reading from the socket, we can now just basically, well, there's a couple things we're going to want to do, but we could probably just grab this. Now we have to do a lock and an unwrap. Okay, so now we've grabbed the message from our clone, and then we can match on it, and then instead of the chat model over here for updating, the super nice thing is we can just reference our model clone, and it's going to be an outgoing message, or sorry, incoming message, because it's coming from the WebSocket to us. So we're just going to emit that, and everything else will pick it up. And then here we could basically just do a to-do. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll just handle the close. Right, we'll just handle the close. Maybe we need to like reset the state and some stuff, but that's okay. All right, and one kind of tricky thing with the WebSockets is we kind of have this annoying problem where we block on reading because I'm not using the asynchronous library. And one kind of way around that is to set up some sort of like ping heartbeat. And so we can just send a ping, like literally just send a ping. Yeah, that's right. We could just ping. Yeah, so it's not like ideal, but yeah, it is what it is. So some sort of heartbeat. We then try to read. We update our local subscriptions and all that stuff, and 50 milliseconds later, we wait and we keep looping. So let's see, pubs WebSocket is never constructed, right? So now we need to go actually listen in the WebSocket, and I think that's it. Is that it? Okay, we're receiving a bunch of pongs because the WebSocket server's replying. So let's not print anything. So we have our window. So we're not getting messages, but we're sending messages. So I think we're just not doing some sort of update. Okay, yeah, so I think we're just not updating our view. That's right, we still need to do that. Okay, so incoming message, outgoing message, incoming message, outgoing message. So the subscriptions are working, which is pretty awesome. Okay, yeah, exactly right. So here we need to update our local model and do like a cx.notify. Right, and so we can just grab a handle or a reference to our model, and we can call our update function. And so this is going to be our model, and this is going to be our context. So model dot message event.message clone into, and then yeah, it's complaining about this, I think. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, so the parameters are fixed. Okay, so this should be the last thing for our view that's needed to update. Okay, so we can send messages. We're still not receiving them in our view. Let me just change this really quick. Okay, so yeah, we're notifying stuff. We're notifying everything from the state model. I think the last thing is in the message view, we just need to grab stuff from the global state. And so yeah, I think something like this might make sense. So we can get the state. And then we basically want to have the message read from the state, right? Why? Okay. So we have this there, and then we can create an observe here on the model. And so I think there's a few things. And let's see what they are. So it's unknown, unknown, and unknown. Right, we can call detach on this. Eventually we're going to do a self with the message. Okay, so it's a bit happier here. 2 arguments, but takes 3. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Oh, it does take 3. Sorry, it does take 3. We want this. Okay, so depending on the context, all this stuff, like basically the arguments slightly shift depending on the context. And so it's going to be a mutable message view. Okay. All right, so we clone stuff from the state. Okay, that makes more sense. Still learning here as well. Still learning as well. All right. So we basically grab the message from the global state, and we can use that for returning the self. And we create this observe function, and that is going to update our message on this message view. And so since the message view has state inside of it, we basically need to read that state from the global when it's updated, and also do like this notification so that our view can re-render. Okay, so that's what I was missing. All right, here we have no messages. So that's a bit more useful. And there we go. We can send messages and we can receive messages. So it does have that little slight delay because we're technically doing the heartbeat under the covers. And then we'll probably look at exploring that with like some async stuff. So I've been pointed to some examples of things I can do, but for now at least, bidirectional communication with WebSockets in GPUI. So until next time, see you guys.